Hello, everyone. It's Shane Conto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Streaming Wasteland here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. And this is my weekly show where every Friday I pick out three streaming services and pick one previously released film off of each of them. And by the end of this episode, you'll have a whole nice weekend full of movies to go check out. Now, especially this weekend, because we got some doozies, we got some long ones coming your way. That's a bit of a pattern. All of these films are at least 2.5 hours long, two and a half, 3:15, 3.5. So be prepared to do some serious movie watching. But, not all of them are so serious, and we're going to start there over on Amazon Prime Video, and that is It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. And this is a 3.5 hour comedy from director Stanley Kramer. And you're wondering, how the hell's this movie 3.5 hours? It's a comedy. Most comedies are like 90 minutes. Well, not every comedy is as epic and huge as this one, as we get a whole entire crew of different motorists witness a single car crash in the California desert. And after the driver's dying words indicate the location of a hidden stash of loot, they turn against each other and go on this big chase to the Santa Rosita State Park and for $350,000. And this is from 1963. That's a lot of money, actually. I would take that now, and it's 2025. But what's probably the biggest selling point to this film is the insane cast. And I could just spend the next 20 minutes just reading off all the names, whether it's Spencer Tracy, Milton Berle, Sid Caesar, Buddy Hackett, Ethel Merman, Mickey Rooney, Dick Shawn, Silvers, Jonathan Winters, Edie Adams, Dorothy Provine, and all the crazy, crazy amount of cameos. You have Andy Devine, Peter Falk. You have the Three Stooges and Don Knotts and Buster Keaton and so many other people, Carl Reiner, just filling out this enormous cast, whether they're tiny roles or they're the main motorists. All of these different comedians bring different flavors of humor. A lot of this film there's certainly plenty of physical comedy. There's great gags throughout the film in terms of this chase. There's also great banter between all of these different, very talented performers getting put on the screen together and going back and forth at each other. And you have somebody that just jumps into this, and maybe you're not so familiar with many of these names because this is from the 60s, but just imagining if this happened today and it had every single famous comedian you could possibly imagine thrown in. You have films like Rat Race that and like Smokey and the Bandit that not Smokey and the Bandit, Cannonball Run, that got my Burt Reynolds movies mixed up. But those kinds of films where it's just like this competition or chasing after this money with this all-star cast of characters, it all stemmed from here. And It's a Mad, 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 Mad World is a towering achievement in comedy. Kramer does a fantastic job of finding all the funniest possible things he can throw together. This is the director who brought you films like Judgment at Nuremberg or Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. And here is delivering a 3.5 hour comedy that just keeps the laughs coming. And that's probably the most impressive thing is that this movie's consistently funny throughout. And it's just when you have this much talent, it's really hard to, not find some shining moments. Certainly, we've seen plenty of films with incredible casts that don't really click, but this one certainly does. And it's well worth a watch to watch this hilarious film that is, like I said, it's a long movie, but there's so many laughs to be had over the course of this 3.5 hours. So if you have it, you want to fill up your whole Friday night, give this one a go. Next up, we're heading on over to Paramount Plus, and this one is one of the most popular films of all time, one of the highest grossing films of all time, one of the most beloved critical films of all time, and one of the biggest winners at the Oscars of all time, and that is 1997's Titanic. Another 3+ hour film running at 3 hours and 14 minutes. This is a towering achievement of filmmaking because James Cameron is one of the most incredible filmmakers to ever do it. his ability to invent and revolutionize film has made him one of the most important filmmakers, especially of his generation, but honestly of all time, where he has taken special effects to a whole new world. And you have actual footage of like going down looking at the Titanic because he did that. Because he's that kind of person who, invented these submarines and went down and looked at the Titanic and then crafts this film. It has this framing narrative of Bill Paxton's crew trying to find this very specific item inside the wreck of the Titanic. And you have Gloria Stewart, who pops up as older Rose, who tells the story of her lustful affair with a poor, poor man played by Leonardo DiCaprio, Jack Dawson, and Kate Winslet portrays Rose in her younger years. And what hasn't been said about this particular romance, as we have these two extremely talented young actors in DiCaprio and Winslet. Obviously, this was before they really refined their craft as actors, but they're still very charismatic, and you feel the chemistry together. It's love. There's just a wonderful spark between them, and it's hard not to really buy in when you have the combination of, somebody like Celine Dion performing the music in this, as well as just an incredible score for sure from James Horner. And that their first intimate moment in a steamy back of a car to all that music, just that leaves a lasting impression. Then you have world's worst villain, Billy Zane, who is running around the sinking Titanic like a madman, or you have his henchman played by acclaimed character actor David Warner just shooting stuff on a sinking Titanic. This movie gets a little ridiculous at times, for sure, but it's a special effects feat. Looking at what they are able to do with the ship, shooting so much in actual water, once this really gets to the point where it's like the ship is sinking, say that 5 times fast, this really delivers something special. And just the special effects, the thrills, the tension, the suspense of it all, the harrowing stories of just seeing these poor people, especially the poor people on board, being locked down in the bottom where all these fat cat rich people getting off and being able to live on. But you have the likes of Kathy Bates, who's fantastic in this. You have Bernard Hill, the late great, as the captain of this ship, who just brings a special presence to this film. Victor Garber, Jonathan Hyde. It's such a great cast. It's incredible filmmaking, beautiful music that really ties this whole film together. And you feel for this central romance between a rich young woman and a young man who, you know, they've they have real chemistry. It isn't the relationship between, Winslet and Zane's characters because, they're both rich. We care. And it's hard not to enjoy Leo and Kate Winslet on screen together for sure. And lastly, we're going to be heading over to Max, and we're going to get super depressing with this 2.5 hour thriller drama, Prisoners, from director Denis Villeneuve. And this film is one of my favorite films. It is a towering achievement in tension and in moral quandary and mystery. This story of two young girls being kidnapped and the lengths that at least one of the fathers, Keller Dover, played by Hugh Jackman, will go to find out what happened as he takes his own prisoner called Dano's character, who he believes had something to do with it. And this film is just draped and drenched in dread. Villeneuve is able to do miraculous things along with cinematographer, the GOAT, Roger Deakins. There's one particular shot on a tree that says so much in that moment without it's like a this steady shot looking at this tree and realizing what was going on while the camera was looking at that tree just has so much weight to it. Little things like that for sure, but there's extremely tense moments. The darkness, the shadow, how this all plays out. This is a grim looking film. It is a grim film thematically. It is there's some nihilism at work in parts of this film. There is a darkness to just the subject matter of what's going on here. What Hugh Jackman's able to do in his performance in this film is off the charts incredible. He is dangerous. He is scary. He is intimidating. He is broken. He is in pain. And you feel all of that, and it's an incredible performance. And his character, we see a descent and we buy into it because we empathize for why he's doing all of this because his daughter is missing. But then we, as the audience, are challenged, how far will we go with him? You have the other father, played by Terrence Howard, who has that decision to make. We see what this is doing to the mothers, Maria Bello and Viola Davis. And all along here, Detective Loki, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, who gives another fantastic, intense performance as he goes toe to toe with Jackman to steal the show. And somebody like Melissa Leo and Paul Dano really just stealing every scene that they pop in to. There's so many great small performances from Len Cariou, Wayne Duvall, David Desmalkian. There's so many great performances in this film. This is haunting, it is twisted, it is shocking, it is incredibly directed. There's moments that are downright terrifying because how intense this film can get. And what Villeneuve is able to do in terms of building that tension, second to none. There's few filmmakers that I feel like that have been able to capture so much tension and dread into a single package, into a single film. And it's just a miraculous achievement. This is not for the faint of hearts. This is a horrifically intense and unnerving experience, but one certainly worth the time. But that is another episode here on the Streaming Wasteland. Let me give you a little recap. So, over on Amazon Prime Video, we have 1963's It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. Over on Paramount Plus, we have 1997's Titanic. And lastly, over on Max, 2013's Prisoners. They're long ones. Have a good weekend full of a lot of movie watching ahead of you. But thank you for listening. Make sure to comment, share, like this episode. What's your favorite comedy? Do you have any 2 hour plus comedies? And they're probably all directed by Judd Apatow. How about your favorite like Oscar darlings, as this episode's coming out a couple of days after the Oscars? Or what's your favorite Denis Villeneuve film, one of the rising stars of cinema right now? And make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. The SPM Crew Podcasting Network is ever expanding. We have so many great shows coming your way. We're expanding with new guests on some of our shows, especially the likes of Flicks and Chill and my show, The Wasteland Watchlist. So if you want to get involved, you want to guest star on one of our episodes, if you want to start your own podcast, make sure to reach out and join the SPM Crew. If you like our logo, go check out HiFlyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. Lastly, and most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Streaming Wasteland here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.